Hello, and welcome to the Blue Water Running Podcast. I'm your host, Maren, and this podcast features and celebrates the achievements of high school and collegiate cross-country and track and field athletes from the Blue Water area of Michigan. You can follow Blue Water Running on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also find meet and athlete reports and articles and a merch shop at bluewaterrunning.org. Today's guest is Kieran Whitlam, a senior at Macomb Lutheran North High School and a member of the Inversion Vault Club. Kieran has seen phenomenal growth and success in the pole vault during his career, with his first jumps as a freshman in the mid 8 to 9 foot range, moving into the 12s and 13s as a junior outdoors in 2024. Kieran was undefeated his entire junior outdoor season until the state meet, winning the Catholic High School League Championship, the D2 Region 19 Championship, and the Macomb County Championship title, regardless of division. He finished off the fall with a 14-foot vault at the Vault Barns Halloween Vault. His indoor season has continued on the same trajectory, with a 14-foot vault to win the Lab Indoor Meet number 10 on February 15th. Kieran is currently ranked third indoors in the state of Michigan and is a contender for a MITS Championship podium finish. Pole vault is always named by many Blue Water area athletes and podcast guests as either their favorite field event to watch or one they've always wanted to try. So it's fun and informative to talk with a vaulter on the pod. Kieran is passionate and dedicated to the craft and sport of vaulting, so he has a lot of great advice and insight to offer during this conversation. Welcome to the Blue Water Running Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. As I've said in the past, I'm not really good with coordination or heights. So anytime I get to talk to a pole vaulter, I'm always really curious to pick their brain and see what kind of makes them tick. So I'm very excited that we have a vaulter on this episode.
Yeah, I'm so excited to let people know about it. And it's so awkward to people that I love their responses to it.
Well, this should be a great conversation then, because like I said, I don't know a whole lot. I know more than I did because on one of my episodes, I got to interview Mackenzie Beakis, who actually pole vaulted in the Olympic trials. So she taught me a lot, but like I said, she's a professional, so high school is a totally different game, and I've never had a male pole vaulter on, so that's a different story too. So we're gonna learn a lot from you, Kieran.
Sweet,
all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the beginning. So tell us about how you were first introduced to vaulting, maybe how old you were when you first began, and then kind of how you got into the event.
Yeah, so I was 14. It was my freshman year of track. And I was originally a high jumper in middle school. And I showed up to practice and I realized I was way undersized. I was maybe 5'2" as a freshman. And I was like, there's no way I'm competing against these other kids. So I looked across the track and I saw these kids on these massive poles. And I was like, oh, okay, that's got a bar in the air that I have to clear. Maybe this will translate over. And I walked up and I saw the coach. I said hi, introduced myself, and he really just put a pole in my hand and said, go do it. And that's where it all really started. And it's so crazy how it started, but that's pretty much the story with everyone that I talked to about it. It's just they realized they didn't like what they were doing before or weren't particularly good at it and went over to the vault coach or got sent over, and the coach was like, go do it. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like a lot of coaches are just looking for people who are willing to try it because there aren't many athletes who are. I think it's a little intimidating. Yes. So anytime someone's enthusiastic and motivated to give it a whirl, I think that's the first step, right?
Definitely. It's definitely an event for adrenaline junkies and daredevils. You don't have many people going into it that are scared because that's when it gets dangerous. So right. You have to get the right people that are ready to do whatever it takes and never let go.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I would imagine the scariest part would be after you get down the approach and you put the pole down and then you have to go up. Is that a little bit of a moment where you kind of have second thoughts, perhaps?
So for me, when I was first starting, I was definitely afraid of planting the pole because there's a lot that can go wrong there. But now all I think about is my 6-step run. I count out almost each step, or more so feel each step. And as soon as I hit my takeoff and I'm in the air, my brain just shuts off, and it's pretty much radio silence because my body, I train it to do what it's supposed to do in meet and in practice without my mental control over it. So there's no fear, there's no time to think. It's just time to do.
Yeah, I like that approach. Muscle memory probably helps to take your brain out of the equation as well. I think you could probably
100%.
overthink this event quite a bit.
Oh,
So,
way too much.
yeah.
Even the Olympians, I hear how much they think about it, and their
Mhm.
bad practices are often as mine.
Mm. Well, tell us about your training. So, any specific skills, exercises, or prep that you do to prepare for this event that would be different from anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, the start of it is really just sprint work because speed is king in this event. But apart from that, it changes up a little bit. You mix in some bounding exercises and a lot of jumping on whatever your takeoff foot is. You want to be really explosive there. And to do that, I'll go to the gym and I like to do my clean and jerks or my clean and press and some deadlifts if I'm in the gym because it takes a lot of that almost back and core strength. And like just weight based, I'm doing a lot of shoulder workouts, which would not be common for many sprinters. And my back workouts are always each week. I have a back workout, whether I'm doing rows, um, lat pull downs, or anything like that. Even if it's pull ups, and then and I like to focus on my calves because I came from sprinting and other jumping events. So I like to make sure they're explosive and not necessarily tight, but firm. And then out of the weight room, I love to do my gymnastics, whether it's on the rings to mimic my vault or on a high bar and I'm swinging around it or uh, kind of getting inverted and upside down on it. My favorite personally from the gymnastics area is going to be my handstands. Walking handstands all day just to get used to that feeling of being upside down so that when you're in the air and have a very small surface of grip on that pole and you're upside down, your brain doesn't go, oh no, this is wrong. It's okay, I know what this is like to be in this position.
That's exactly what my brain tells me. This is wrong. You should not be up here. So
100%.
I'm always admiring pole vaulters for their ability to kind of put their balance in a different position. Well, I know you're part of an indoor club. So tell us about your training, how often you're meeting up to get specific training and coaching on pole vaulting and all things that go with that.
Yeah, it definitely varies from season to season. During my summer training, I am there 3 to 4 weeks or 3 to 4 days a week. I drive about an hour to an hour and a half to go there, and I train definitely 2 to 3 hours each day. Once I come to my winter season or my indoor season, it goes down to about 1 to 2 days a week at night. So I'm leaving from school, going home, eating a really quick dinner, heading to practice for 3 hours, and we're doing pretty much full and competition vaults every day. Just because we don't have the time allotted for us to spend much time on a shorter run. Um, because we've got a lot to get done in that short time frame. And then we go to the spring season, and I take over at my school, and I'll be jumping there. But I still go to my club once a week, meet with my coach, Coach Jordan. He's awesome, and he has a whole plan written out for me for the whole season. And then I rent my poles, and then I go to my meets, and I do what I do.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge advantage. I was looking at their website because there's a lot of high school teams that just don't have people who are knowledgeable about pole vault. You know, they're more than willing to support kids. They just don't know enough about it to coach them, or they don't have the equipment. So it's nice that you
Definitely.
have that, that other outlet to get what you need. Speaking of which, besides the obvious need for a pole, and this club lets you rent them, is there any other gear that you wear or have that is specific to pole vaulting?
Yeah, it not necessarily my gear when I'm out there, but I always have my chalk bag. Every single practice, I bring my chalk. It's in my nice little blue bag, and it's that nice stuff. And I can't go anywhere without that. I've actually ended up bringing it to school just so I can get my workouts because I'm so familiar with having chalk on my hands. that I almost like the feel when I'm doing pull-ups or anything with it. Besides that, I have my vaulting spikes. I vault in the Nike pole vault elites. Um, they're amazing. I get so much bounce out of them. But other than that, it's me, my pole, chalk, and my spikes, and that's all I have out there on that runway.
Okay. Are there any specific elements you think have helped you be successful over the last year? Because you've seen some pretty big PRs and a lot of growth specifically since your junior year. So do you think there's anything specific that comes to mind that's pushed your vaulting to that next level?
I think definitely would be my experience in multiple sports. Um, from what I've noticed from other people that have just only done one event, they get so caught up in it. But when I do my other sports, I end up developing in other areas and a little bit faster. Recently, I did start focusing more on my vaulting. And what's helped me in that, particularly just my PRs, has been reading. And it sounds so odd because it's not my physical muscles, but my mental muscle. I read a lot of my psychology and philosophy books because pole vault's honestly 150% mental and 100% physical. There, you don't get one without the other. Um, if you don't have a good mental space or brain space, you can just call it a day. You have to be there mentally instead of physically.
Well, I'm a big reader, so anything you can read is always good.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about, so I saw this on Instagram and you were looking at buying something to help you train, but it was really expensive and you said you were going to build it yourself. So tell me about
Yes,
this.
that's the swing up rack.
Okay.
It runs from $600 to $800 online, and I was like, dang, I could buy all of my welding material, all of the tubing that I need for it, and I was like, how much is that going to cost? It only cost me about $400. I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna save myself $200. So I sold a pole, I got all my material, and it took me about like 6 hours total to finish the project. And I use it at least 4 times a week now, and I get great use out of it.
Hmm.
I love making stuff with my hands. And when I have something that's like physically mine and I can be like, I made that, it gives me a sense of pride. And then I feel when I go to a meet that I'm prepared and supposed to be there because of that pride that I get from it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe you could start a little side hustle with that.
Yeah,
Sell it to some
I
other
definitely
vaulters.
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is the inevitable question I always ask. Have you ever had a pole break?
No, I actually have not had a pole break on myself. I've spiked one pole, so we can't use that pole anymore because if I was to use it, it would break on me. But I've seen multiple other vaulters snap poles, and it
Hmm.
is definitely terrifying. You're on that runway, and the dude in front of you goes out there and snaps his pole. It sounds like a gunshot, and you're
Oh,
like, "Oh my gosh!" Definitely gets in your headspace. But me, I have never had a pole snap on me.
okay. So if you're renting a pool and it snaps, are you responsible for paying for it?
No, it's really funny. With my club, Inversion Vault Club, our coach told us, I think it was 2 years ago, he said he was so tired of us not hitting the takeoff strong. And he said, if you snap a pole, you're not gonna have to pay me, but I'll pay you $100 because it meant you hit that takeoff. So I've been
Right.
trying to snap a pole for a really long time.
Okay. Well, what do you think is probably either the most common, prevalent, or likely injury for someone that's a pole vaulter? I mean, if you're a sprinter, it could be the hamstring. If you're a distance runner, it's a stress fracture. What's kind of that common pole vaulting injury?
Oh, it's definitely going to be hamstrings. The amount of people I've seen pull a hammy in the warm ups at a meet is insane. I went to the Essex Combine this past fall, and we had an Olympian there, and he's now a sports medicine guy, and all he preached was protecting your hamstrings.
Tell me about what you would do to kind of warm up. I know it's going to be different than like, I don't know, a sprinter. I'm assuming. I mean, I know you're sprinting, you're approaching the bar with speed, but I'm assuming there's a little more technical side of things when you're warming up. So tell me about that.
So it's honestly not that different from a sprinter because, like I said, speed is king in the event. We have multiple sprint drills, such as our A skips, B skips, our C skips. We do a whole bunch of ham kicks and our high knees. One different variation is we call them ostriches or switches, which is where we do ham kicks about 10 meters, and then we stride out in an upright position, almost like we're galloping for another 30. And we do this all with poles in our hands. So although we have the pole in our hands, everything we do is as a sprinter would.
Okay.
And then once we're done with the dynamics, we'll go to the floor. And I like to do, like I said, my handstands, a lot of band work. Most of it is preventative.
Yeah. So tell me how you transport and travel with your pole, because I saw your picture of you walking with it, which was, wow, that's going to be an interesting thing to carry around. But I'm always thinking, how do you get it to a meet?
Yes, we strap it on the side of our car whenever we drive with it.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people put it on the top of their car with their racks, but me personally, I like it on the side of the car. I feel like it's more secure. I definitely get a lot of weird looks when I'm driving around.
I was just going to ask that.
The best thing ever, though, was I was at a red light and I was like not ready to go to practice, but I had my poles on the car and this one guy pulls up next to me and he was so hyped about it because he has me roll down my window. He's like, I was a vaulter. No way. So
yeah.
We're definitely noticed, and I love that part of traveling.
Yeah, when I was interviewing Mackenzie, she was telling me about how they fly with them, and there was only one airline that would let you fly.
Southwest.
Yep, she said that. So,
yep.
Well, what has been one of the most challenging parts of pole vaulting for you? If you look back on from where you started to now, something that's really given you maybe some pause or some second thoughts, or just really forced you to kind of rise above?
Yeah, technically in my vault would be my takeoff, and any vaulter that's listening would understand that 100%. Everything good or bad happens at the takeoff. So I've worked really hard on perfecting that and getting much better, and it's working really well for me. And then mentally and like emotionally in my vault, that's been so hard to get past is a lack of belief from a lot of people, whether it's been a coach, a parent, or friends. I've had so many people tell me, like, why do you do this? It doesn't make sense. It's not going to take you anywhere. And pushing through all of the negativity has been definitely a struggle. But I'm still here. I'm still going. And each time something happens, knocks me down, I pick myself back up. I remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I understand I remember it's for me because it's what I love.
Yeah, it sounds like you are very passionate and you've put a lot of work into it. And I definitely think it can take you places. I mean, that's one of my questions. Now that you're a senior, are you interested in vaulting collegiately?
Yes, I have been having multiple conversations with a couple of coaches, both D1 and D2. I've been on one recruiting visit to the University of Arizona, where I met with their coach there and spent a day with part of the team. But been reaching out and I haven't found anywhere that's right for me yet. But I keep working and good stuff will come. So I just focus on what I can do right now, and I trust the process.
Yeah. Well, it's a fun process, so enjoy it. Don't feel stressed. I think you'll know when you find the right place. That's what I've heard from a lot of athletes. They just knew when they went wherever they went and it clicked. So,
yes.
Well, what are your main goals as you're looking ahead to the outdoor season?
Yes. So I want to, as a bar goal, a bar height would be the Sweet 16. That would be a dream. But I think less than a dream it's definitely a plan, and I think I can do it. I know I can do it. And I want to win the state meet this year. Sam Vesperman is in my division, and he's one hell of a vaulter. But I keep telling him he's in my club. I'm coming for him, and I'm gonna battle him this year. But 16 foot in the outdoor season would be nice. And then at this state meet, I want 15 foot, and I'm doing everything I can right now. So
yeah, well, you made a lot of goals, or I mean, a lot of gains towards your goals. So yeah, sounds like you got the right trajectory.
Yes.
Well, let's backtrack a second. because we talked about your outdoor goals, but indoor's not done. So, what would you like to do before you wrap up that season?
Yes, so I want to stay healthy right now so I can go and compete at that state meet at CMU.
Hmm.
My goal there is 15 foot. I have a meet this weekend at Saginaw. I just moved up a couple poles and I'm gonna get 14.6 there, and then the state meet, I'm gonna jump 15 foot. Um,
Okay.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll be watching. We have a pretty good vaulter in the BWAC where I live in Armada, so that's our league. Chase Batani of Almont. He wouldn't be
Yes.
in your regional because he's D3, but he's a very good vaulter too. So
Yes, I've had a couple meets with him. He's a great
yeah,
guy.
yeah, he's a super nice guy. Good sprinter, good hurdler, good all around athlete. So,
Hmm.
well, let's say that someone approached you. Maybe they heard this podcast or they know you're a vaulter and they said, "Hey, I'm thinking about trying pole vault for the first time." What would you say to them about any advice you would offer?
That's definitely a tough one because it varies from person to person. But I think a good way to go with that is always the number one rule of pole vault: do not let go of the pole, no matter what. Bad things happen when you let go of the pole. But
Mhm.
apart from that, it's keep fear out of the mind and trust. I call it self two. Self two is what your body is. It's the muscle memory. Keep self one, which is your ego, out of it. Keep your ego out of it and trust your body to do what it's supposed to do. It learns by itself.
Mhm. Um, so I have to ask this question. As you start vaulting higher, do you change the height of your pole?
Yes.
Okay.
You get to a point where you're vaulting so high over your hand grip that to see the gains that you want to make, you're gonna have to start going up poles. Right now, I'm changing between a 14-foot pole to a 14.6. In outdoor season, I'll be on 15-foot poles, and the
Okay.
heights will follow with that.
Okay. So, do you know what height Mondo uses?
For his pole, me and
Because
my
he
friends were
is
just
way up there.
talking about this.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to say he's 17 or an 18 football. I don't quote me on that,
Oh my
but
gosh.
he's flying. He's definitely flying. I want to say 3 to 4 feet over his hand grip, and his record right now is 6.27 or six point two
Hmm.
six meters. So I
Which
want
is
to say
crazy.
17 or 18 foot pole,
Yeah.
17 foot pole probably.
Wow. It's crazy. He's amazing to watch. So fun.
Yes, I was lucky to go to the Olympics this past year and watch him in action. That was
Oh, that's
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, that would be so exciting. That's on my bucket list. I haven't made it
Yes,
yet, but I'm gonna get there one day.
LA 28.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying that, but I got two kids in college. Well, one in college and one about to go. So, eh,
Yep.
I'm kind of broke. But anyway, well, let's talk about your favorites. So, obviously, you love the pole vault, but do you have a favorite track event and or field event besides the pole vault?
Yeah, I love discus. I picked it up recently this last year. I love watching it. Um, I throw about 120 right now, and I've got some friends that throw like 160s, 140s, and I love watching it because it's almost like a dance, and it's really pretty to me to watch. And then on the track, I love watching the hurdlers because to me that scares me more than the pole vault is the
Agreed.
hurdlers.
Yeah, whack a shin and oof. All
So
right.
horrible.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not coordinated. I even fell down just running track. So, well, your favorite athlete in any sport. Do you have an athlete? And it doesn't have to be a track and field athlete.
Wow, any sport. That's gonna be a tough one. I'd have to say Dylan Larkin on the Red Wings. When I was younger, I used to play hockey, and part of one of their programs, he coached us for a week. So for some reason, that's always stuck with me.
Okay.
Besides him, I love myself some Deion Sanders.
Yeah, he's a pretty fun guy. Just very charismatic, fun to watch. Lots of energy.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to guess who your favorite pole vaulter is, but I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, my favorite vaulter is actually Sam Kendricks. I love
Okay.
the guy. I think he's a true patriot. Mondo, I love Mondo. I love seeing what he's doing, especially for the sport. But when I see Sam Kendricks, something about the guy I like a lot. And then besides him, it's going to be Austin Miller. I met him, and he was just a goober, just a great guy to be around.
Well, the thing about Mondo is he doesn't compete for the U.S. either, so he's never going to win a gold medal for the USA. Darn it.
Fighting against us.
I know. Well, I get it. All right. Favorite go-to snack or meal before or after a competition?
Oh, after a competition, it's a Big Mac from McDonald's. I love pigging out with my Big Mac. I feel so guilty after, but I always remind myself, I was like, I've worked pretty hard.
Yeah, I don't think you need to feel guilty about that.
Yeah, love a Big Mac from McDonald's.
Yeah, I agree. They're quite tasty. All right. Favorite free time activities or hobbies outside of sports?
I love to create art. Whether it's welding, I make roses out of steel, and daisies and other flowers. And then I love to paint and draw. I take art class at my school, and it's just a hobby I've picked up. It really helps me clear my mind and really get out of vaulting. It's very peaceful.
So where did you learn to weld?
I've taught myself, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what I want to do when I'm older. Of course, would love to continue vaulting, pick up a sponsorship. But on the side, I would love to be a welder. So I kind of saw something I want to do. Looked up some videos, and then trial and error, just started to learn.
Well, it is a very in-demand career. My nephew is a welder, and he also cannot be afraid of heights because he's climbing up huge silos, and they're welding, these giant grain bins and all sorts of stuff. So yes. He says it's an adrenaline junkie's job too. So it kind of fits, with the vaulting.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, one last question to wrap up our conversation, and that is, if you could go vault anywhere in the world, where would you like to do so?
Anywhere in the world would have to be Hayward Field, Eugene, Oregon. Like, just that being on the best track in the world to me, and just being on the world stage, that would be a great place to vault.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll end up there one day. Right? Dream big.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Kieran, for joining me on this episode. Like I said, it's always fascinating to talk to a vaulter, and you have a lot of really interesting insight, a lot of passion. I can tell you're just going to do amazing things because you have put in the effort and you've got that love for it. So I'm excited to see what you're going to do next.
Sweet. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love to share with everyone what I love.
Yes. Well, we are glad that you did. Thank you so much. I will leave you today with Kieran's favorite quote from the movie, The Pursuit of Happyness. You got a dream, you got to protect it. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to today's Blue Water Running Podcast. I can't wait to feature more cross-country and track and field athletes from the Blue Water area, so stay tuned because it just might be you. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can find the Blue Water Running Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and other major media players. You can also ask your smart speaker to play the Blue Water Running Podcast. If you have an idea for a great topic or guest you'd like to hear about, feel free to contact me through the website links or show notes. If you'd like to participate in supporting local athletes as a sponsor or advertiser on Blue Water Running, we would love to hear from you as well. You can find more information at bluewaterrunning.org.